Jay here for Stretford Paddock. That's Joe Smith. This is a bit of breaking news. We've had the watch-along for the Manchester United versus Leeds game, and whilst that was happening, amazingly, we had a pretty big bit of news, didn't we, from David Ornstein and then from Fabrizio Romano, that Marcus Rashford is going to Barcelona. We have had the here we go, we have had the update, we've had the news, we've had it from the two top tier one-ists of the tier ones. So it is all happening. So we thought, right, we'll go live after the Leeds game, we'll get into it all and we'll get you lot involved. So get involved in the chat and the comments and let us know what you think about this latest news. So it started with a kiss. It started with a tweet from David Ornstein, I think. Have we got that here? We can see that. So David Ornstein said, if I can just see the David Ornstein tweet. He did this during the Leeds game. There we go. Barcelona advancing on deal to sign Marcus Rashford from Man United. Offer via intermediaries loan plus buy option. United have agreed. Not done, but final stages. Flick, that's Hansi Flick, the Barcelona manager, of course, approves 27-year-old international, suits Barcelona on football financial level. So, Joe, when you read that, you were like, well, we need to know a bit more about this. The devil's in the detail, as they say. What does this mean? Are they going to be, how much of the wages are going to be paying and all the rest of it? Then we had another tweet, I think, from Romano. Then we had the here we go, because obviously Romano and Ornstein, they're like Ali and Fraser, aren't they? When one of them goes, the other one goes. And it said here, breaking Marcus Rashford to Barcelona. Here we go. Verbal agreement in principle between all parties involved, with Barca planning for medical tests next days. Loan deal with buy option. Details being finalised today. Then Man United will authorise his travel to Spain. So very similar in the sort of the sentiment there between Ornstein and Romano. Marcus Rashford, he's obviously got to Barcelona. There's no doubt there when you've got those two saying it. But we don't really have anything more on that, the nature of that deal from Romano. Then, you can keep up with me, David Ornstein tweeted, Barcelona set to pay whole Marcus Rashford's salary as part of proposed transfer from United. Impending loan and option to buy includes 100% wage coverage by Barcelona as all parties work to finalise deal for 27-year-old Manchester United attacker. So his wages are getting covered, because we were thinking, is this going to be like it was at Villa, where United are paying like 2/3, 3/4 or whatever, and Villa or Barcelona are paying 3/4, United paying the rest. All his wages. Let's not forget with Marcus Rashford, we're talking big money there. He's on about, depending on who you read and the nature of, how his bonuses work, around 300k a week. Yeah. So that is a big chunk of money that Manchester United are saving. The question is, are we going to get any more money in for Marcus Rashford? Joe?
Yes.
We'll get your reaction before we get into the chat and the comments. Can we start the timer as well? What do we think of that?
I think it makes sense. I think I'm actually a little bit surprised that they've gone for it, because I think he's a good player, but he is arguably getting a sort of an upgrade here, isn't he? He's leaving Man United having not just fallen out with the manager, but he hasn't been good enough on the pitch for the last sort of 12 months either, what he's played over the last 12 months, and yet he's going to a team that's doing a lot better than we are, which I think is good for him. I think that obviously it tells you a little bit about the expectation and the difference maybe between the Premier League and La Liga. At the moment, I think Rafinha going there kind of was a decent, almost like I don't want to say trial, because obviously Rafinha's done incredibly well, but I think it shows you that a player that isn't necessarily the best player in the league in England can go to Barcelona and, with the right environment and with a bit of confidence, be one of the best players in the league in Spain. That's literally just happened. I think the structure of this deal in particular is seemingly, I'm a little bit torn on it, because on the one hand, like you said, he's on 300 grand a week, maybe up to 375 with bonuses. That's reported by Capology and a few others, which is anywhere between 15.5 and 19 million quid a year, which is obviously tons of money, like absolutely loads of money. That's, for instance, for an example, more than we're paying for Brian Mbeumo's transfer this year. I think it's about the same as what we're paying for Mateus Cunha's transfer this year. So that money there, 19 million or up to 19 million a year, is worth one transfer this year in terms of an instalment. So it's massive.
Yeah.
And I love that we're getting that money off the books. They're paying 100% of it. The two things I don't like are, one is that there's only an option to buy, and the second is we haven't sold him. Like, obviously those two things become one and the same. But it is another player that we haven't received a transfer fee for, Because not only, if we'd have sold him, not only would those 19 million or up to 19 million pounds a year in wages be off the books, we'd also have some extra money to actually spend on someone. The same with Jadon Sancho. Last season we couldn't get a sale for him. The same with Anthony in January, we couldn't get a sale for him. The same with Rashford in January. The same with Rashford again now. It makes you wonder, are we going to get another loan for Sancho? Are we going to get another loan for Anthony? We need to sell these players. It makes me worry about the potential terms of a Garnacho deal down the line. Like, when do we actually sell someone before they're worth 15 million quid?
Yeah.
Because if Rashford has another bad, like, it's all well and good, like looking at Rafinha, looking at he did all right for some games at Villa. He could go on to be brilliant for them. It wouldn't. I genuinely wouldn't be shocked whatsoever if Rashford gets 20 plus goals for Barcelona next season and 10 plus assists. I won't be shocked whatsoever. But if he doesn't, I also won't be shocked if he gets 8 goals, 3 assists, and isn't in the first team by the end of the summer. And if he isn't, then he goes from being worth 30 to 40 million quid to being worth 15 to 25 million. Yeah. And then you've just wasted a year. Yeah. And this persistent issue that United have of not being able to sell players really is a worry. The fact as well that it's an option to buy, not an obligation, just again lends itself to that. Because he could have a decent season, but Barcelona might just not have the money for him. So then what? There's a few concerns in all of this. But I do appreciate as well, on the other hand, sorry, I'm talking for a long time.
No, please do. By all means, man, don't apologise.
I do appreciate, on the other hand, that this is a situation that Ineos have come across. Yeah. They haven't done this. The fact that he's on that much money isn't their fault. And unfortunately, regardless of how good at negotiating you are, without hypnotising, the opposition CEO or chief negotiator, you can't force them to buy your player. Yeah. There's only a limit to what other clubs can do financially. You can't make them do something that they don't want to do. And we aren't in a good position with Rashford. We aren't in a strong position with Sancho. We aren't in a strong position with Anthony. As it turns out, we're not in a great position with Garnacho either because of the public nature of that fallout. So, I don't know. I think it's about right in terms of an on-the-pitch thing. It would have been nice if this was a sale or an obligation to buy, but I do understand why it isn't. And from a personal perspective, I'm happy for Rashford getting the move that he's, I wouldn't say chased for the last few years because I think he was up for playing for United, but we all know that if he was ever to leave, Barcelona was the one he wanted. Fair play to him.
Yeah, he obviously sort of had an inkling that move could happen. Yeah. When we were hearing all these noises and reports that he wanted to go to Barcelona, I know some people were sort of dismissing it and saying, I want to marry Rihanna, but it ain't going to happen. But he obviously knew that could happen because it has. We saw Teddy Sheringham on Sky Sports the other day saying he doesn't deserve a move to Barcelona and making those sort of comments. And I think, well, if they want him, then he does deserve a move because they want him and he can go there. And we can't have it both ways. We can't say we don't want Marcus Rashford at Manchester United and we don't want him to move to Barcelona. Why not? If you don't want him at United, you don't think he's good enough for United, or you don't think he's got the right mindset for United anymore, then whoever's willing to pay his wages or whoever's willing to have him, then I'm happy for him to go there, as long as it's not someone like Liverpool or City or whatever, one of our rivals. I don't think they'd want him, but someone that would really upset the fan base. So I think this move makes a lot of sense. There's still a lot that Marcus Rashford has to offer. I just hope he makes the most of it, because I said this on the watch along, you don't get a lot of opportunities like this when you leave Manchester United and you go on loan to Villa and you do okay to then end up at Barcelona. And I know it's not just what's happened last season, it's going to be over his career and what he's capable of is one of the reasons that that Barcelona are in for him. But he has to make the most of it, because I think he's almost wasted the last 2 years of his career not really doing out. So this is a big move for Marcus Rashford, and it's one that he's got to take advantage of, and it's one that hopefully could lead to Manchester United being able to bring in someone for decent money or for reasonable money that can do a job for us. Because as it stands, Marcus Rashford is completely useless to Manchester United because Ruben Amorim has got no intention of using him whatsoever, and he made that clear last season when he wasn't even in the squad for about 9 games. We didn't even fill the bench, I think, at one point, and he still wasn't in the squad. Because obviously that relationship is non-existent, so we need Marcus Rashford to move on, get some money in, and get a player in who can do a job for Manchester United, because we still need to bring in reinforcements. We still need other options. We brought in Brian Mbeumo, we're on the verge of it. Brought in Mateus Cunha, who I thought did well today. Those are good signings, but we need more. What are the comments saying? Let's get into some of the chat.
Yeah, we've got a couple of super chats. Abhinav Verma says, Joe hit the nail on the head. We can't force people to pay us money for players. Hence, we need to hire professional hypnotists to force them. There you go.
Love that.
That's one way around it. And Space Cowboy says, why have we included a buy option, brackets reportedly 30 million? I'd like to know who said that, because I've seen a couple of people say 30 million, and I was trying to find a source on that. I've not been able to. So let us know if you know this 30 million source. What's the harm in setting the price next summer in case he does well? Well, the harm is, if he does well-ish, then what do you do? If he does really well, yeah, you'll get loads of money for him. But if he just does all right and you've put a really high option in there, or you don't put any option at all, then you're going to wait around and let Barcelona pay 15 million for him, or you're going to try and get somewhere else, something more elsewhere. I think at least with the option to buy, you put all the balls in Barcelona's court and make them make a decision. I think with nothing at all, they can just wash their hands of the situation. I don't know. All of it really is immaterial if they don't want him at the end of the summer, isn't it? So we'll have to wait and see.
What's the comment saying as well? Not just
yeah, of course.
Chat, sorry.
BMP Pokemon said, late to the chat, but good to see you, Jay and Joe. Have we all liked the video? Yes, absolutely. Kaiju says he hasn't wasted anything. He's managed to con United into giving him 375 grand a week. Mission accomplished. I don't think that's the case at all. I think that's such a negative way of looking at the situation. Do you think he's ever had any kind of, I don't know, not ulterior motives for sure, but just like, do you think it's a coincidence that his form fell off after he got the big move? Do you think there's ever a case of maybe his heart hasn't been in it for longer than it seems, or do you just think it's a shame and a bad coincidence?
I think Marcus Rashford has had things going on. I think there's been a troubled individual there. And I've spoken to a couple of people, I'm not ITK, I say this all the time, but I've spoken to people who've seen him at Carrington and says at times he seemed a little bit aloof from the rest of the group. Seems like there's something that just isn't right. We hear these reports and rumours that sort of do seem to have a little bit of momentum behind them that maybe he isn't, I don't know, doing all the things that a footballer should do. He's had a few issues, hasn't he, like the Belfast issue, the birthday party issue after the derby, I think it was. Then there was the Everton game where he scored 2 goals, but after the game, Ruben Amorim asked him about he'd been reported he'd been out before the game, whatever, and he said he hadn't when it turned out he had. There's just a few things going on with Marcus Rashford that just makes me think that he's not a completely happy person at Manchester United. I don't know whether that is he signed a new deal and then couldn't be bothered. Doesn't quite make any sense to me on that respect. And I think as well, Marcus Rashford does want to play for England, and he would want to play for England. He must know that the way to play for England is to play well. He doesn't want to win football matches, score goals and win trophies. The way to do that is to play well. You know, we saw the pictures he posted after the FA Cup final. I thought he had a decent game in the FA Cup final against Manchester City, where he said, this is what this means to me. You know, he was in tears. So you want to win trophies, you have to turn up, you have to perform. Yeah. So I don't necessarily think he's just giving up because he's got a big deal. I just think he's got, for want of a better word, certain issues. He looks a bit better at Aston Villa. I don't think he was perfect, and I don't think it was an amazing loan spell. I thought we saw some decent games from him. I thought he did very well in the second half against PSG in that quarter-final second leg. I thought he did well in a couple of other games as well. Saw him at I think it was the Etihad. I thought he did well. Scored a penalty, obviously, at the post as well. Obviously did well in the cup against, was it Preston? I think he got a couple of goals. But it wasn't an amazing loan spell. It was a player that he felt was sort of edging towards back to what he can be. And then he got injured, which is unfortunate. But obviously his reputation is such that he's still able to get a move to Barcelona. I just think with Marcus Rashford, you can criticise him and question him. I think the issue I have sometimes, it goes a little bit OTT, where it goes from criticising him, thinking he's not good enough, questioning him, to hatred. Some United fans hate Marcus Rashford, and I'm not saying they don't rate him or they don't think he's good. I mean, they fucking hate him, and I mean that. I've seen like the posts. You don't speak about someone like the way that some people, not everyone, talks about Marcus Rashford unless you hate him. So I think that saddens me, because I've never been that opinion of Marcus Rashford. I never will. I never hate him. I like him. I just wish he'd maintain some consistency at Manchester United, and I wish he'd have seen out his career at Manchester United. But I think we're at a stage now where it's best for all concerned, including Marcus Rashford, and more importantly, Manchester United Football Club, if he moves on. That's
been the case his whole career as well, Rashford. Like, it's easy to look back at it now, and for people to say, "Oh, he's crap. He's had 2 bad seasons in a row. He's shit at X, Y, and Z." But he was getting haters when he was a young, early 20s player, getting 20 plus goals a season, or teens and 20s as a youngster in the under Solskjaer. He was always getting loads of stick. He's always had loads of stick. I don't know what it is. I'm sure it's a mixture of things. I'm sure it's an academy thing. I'm sure it's a play style thing. I'm sure there's a racial element to it, because of course there will be for some people. But I feel like he's always had a disproportionately high amount of stick. Like, he came through at United and got, as a kid, and then got 11 goals, 13 goals, 13, 22, 21, and then 5, and then 30. You look at all those seasons, he had one season there that was a stinker, and a three that were very good, two that were very good, one that was fantastic. And even at that point, he had a lot of haters. He's just been a player that, for the whole time he's been at the club, it's been people turn on him so quickly. Not everyone, obviously, but just a weirdly high amount.
I was at the Midtjylland game, and I remember in that first half of the Midtjylland game, there were lads near me who they'd had a few, to be fair, giving him grief. It was his fucking debut, and he was a kid.
And he scored twice.
Before his goals, to be fair. But they were like, he's fucking shit. Look at the state of Israel, clubs in the mud, and all that nonsense. I think there is an element of people pushing him out. Oh, he's only in the club team because he's an academy graduate, or all this nonsense. Look, you can think Marcus Rashford is a fantastic footballer. You can think Marcus Rashford hasn't quite lived up to the expectations. You can think he's not been consistent enough. You can have all those conversations and discussions. I get all that. I just think sometimes it becomes just OTT. It just becomes like, to the point where I remember I did a video criticising Marcus Rashford, like saying he's not been good enough. He needs to step up. He's a senior player. He's not a kid anymore. This isn't acceptable, these level of performances. And even after that, people saying, why do you always stick up for him? Yeah. I've literally done a video criticising him, saying he needs to step up. But people, it gets to the point sometimes where if you say something that isn't completely anti-Marcus Rashford, people just lose their minds. And I think that just indicates, regardless of whether you think it's right or not, it's one of the reasons I think it's better for everyone if he moves on. Because I'm not saying you should move on because you're getting trolled on Twitter or whatever, but if you've got the fan base is just sort of turned against you, and it's obvious from his actions that he reads a lot of these comments and sees a lot of these comments, then it's just another reason why perhaps it's better for you to move on to somewhere where hopefully you can regain your mojo and be loved. Because I did feel like in that 30-goal season that you mentioned, it's like people couldn't wait for him to stop scoring now. Yeah,
I mean, we're looking at some of the comments now as a result of that, like people saying between his goals he's shy.
So I'm saying
he's always Rashford has been an overrated and overhyped from the start. His talent, in quotes, was running very quickly in a straight line, scoring penalties and getting scratchy goals. And you think, like, in his career for United, I think he scored 13 penalties out of the 127 goals that he has scored. 10% of them have been penalties. And these scratchy guys, it's like, I'm not saying that he's been amazing, but this is what I mean. That there's always been a narrative around him that he's just shit and everything he's done that's good was lucky.
That's what I mean. You can't have a reasonable discussion, can you? Can't you say well, okay, he hasn't been good enough consistently, which is what I think for someone of that talent, without just being like, well, he's always been shit. Well, he hasn't always been. You don't score over 120 goals for United if you're shit. You just don't. I've seen some fantastic attackers for Manchester United score a lot less than Marcus Rashford. Trust me on that. And they were playing in the Fergie era. So I don't buy into the idea that he's not any good at football. I don't buy into the idea that he only just scores penalties and, scores goals because he's quick. We've seen him score some amazing goals in big games. I just don't think he's done it often enough of late, and that's why it's time for him to move on. And also, there's these question marks about him, his mindset, his relationship with the manager. It's obvious now is the time to move on. I'm just glad we're at a point, and it looks like we're at a point where potentially this could have a happy ending for everyone. This could be Manchester United getting a decent amount of money for him, getting him off the wage bill. It could. I know it's not set in stone. That's what's going to happen. And it could be Marcus Rashford getting a decent move as well, because unlike a lot of people in the chat, I still like Marcus. I want him to move on with his career and do well. Just a couple of updates on the deal as well from different sources. So Ben Jacobs mentioned that Rashford has taken a pay cut to go there, so they are covering 100% of his wage. You can see here he's taken a pay cut, so he's going to be getting around 10 million gross, including bonuses. So that's how we get his full wage off the bill. They can pay his full wage, but that's because his full wage isn't what it used to be. So that's a bit of an. Do you know what? That's good. Yeah, that's the sort of thing you needed to do. You needed to sort of focus on your football, and let's be honest, he's not taking a pay cut and gone on to minimum wage. He's still going to be on a huge amount of money.
Yeah.
But if that's what you need to do to get that deal done, get that deal done and go to arguably the biggest club in the world. Yeah. Barcelona are up there with anyone. Like they're up there with United, they're up there with Real Madrid, they're up there with Bayern Munich, they're up there with Juve. They're as big as anyone. So it's a good move, man. If it's taking you having a pay cut to make it happen, then you've done the right thing. I just hope to God he makes the most of this, because there's no excuses now for Marcus Rashford. He's had more or less 2 years where he's been underwhelming and there's been these questions around him. You get a move to Barcelona and it's a loan move. You cannot throw that opportunity away. You don't want to see him back at United next season with Barcelona going, he was crap, we didn't want him.
Yeah. And the other one which was from a report from Fichages.
What? No. Are you reading it out?
I'm just going to say it because a lot of people are reporting it.
From Fichages? As it said, Marcus Rashford has signed for City.
No, exactly.
Marcus Rashford is fucking the new United manager.
Because the whole report about him having a £30 million option to buy is from Matteo Moretto, who works for Fichages.
Right, well, you may as well have fucking wrote that on the wall in your own shite, for all that's worth.
So it could be true, but it also very much might not be true.
Fair enough.
So wait until we've got it from a bit of a better source before we go.
Rather than a comic book.
On that. Yeah, the comic book being sold at a primary school that was made by some of the pupils over a weekend. That is Fichages.
How do you feel, Joe? Because I think out of most people I know, you're Marcus's. You and Macola as well, and myself to a certain degree, but certainly you've me and you've been doing this channel, become friends since Marcus Rashford sort of kicked on under Ole. So you've seen the best and the worst of Marcus Rashford, and you're someone who's always defended, always stuck up for him, always loved him. What have you made of this?
I think it's all fair enough. It's not even. I think he's done like a lot wrong, and I think it's fair enough that he's now leaving the club. I just think that the whole thing of like never enjoying him while he was playing well, never thinking he was any good. I just think not only is it not true, not only did he have some excellent seasons where we relied on him a lot in those big moments, but also it just means like, when are you getting any joy out of watching Man United? Like some people, you just think, if you've just been watching us your whole life, hating it. Like, I know it's been poor for the last few years, but like, let's have a look at some of the great moments that we've had and enjoy them and think back to them. I just think like if you honestly look back at Rashford's career as a Man United player through this prism of he was shit and everything he did that was good was either luck, a tap-in or a penalty, I do not envy you as a Manchester United fan at all, because he has had some of the best moments in a Man United shirt of anyone in the last 7 or 8 years. So if you didn't enjoy him, I don't think you've enjoyed any of it. And obviously, what he did off the pitch, his professionalism, some of the pictures and the rumours you hear about what he gets up to and going out and the gambling and this, that and the other, all good reasons to let a player leave. Falling out with the manager is a very good final straw. But come on, let's try and enjoy some of the good stuff that happened, because there were good bits. The goal, the penalty against PSG is one of the most exciting moments I've ever had as a United fan. And I was watching it on my laptop in my room with no one around me, and it was still one of the best moments I've ever had. So I just think, let's try and enjoy some of the good stuff. Wave him off. Fair enough, didn't work out. Now's the time to get rid of him. But let's not just pretend that he was terrible the whole time. And also, we just hated him from the start.
I think you make a good point there. And there was a time where I was probably prouder of Marcus Rashford than I've been of almost any United player, when you were literally feeding starving children, or you'd taken that upon yourself to do that. And I'm not going to get all political, but make the government do a couple of U-turns on free school meals and stuff like that. I thought, oh my God, that's mint. So there was that, and then you were scoring hat-tricks against Leipzig and all the rest of it. It was just a great time to be a United fan and have a player like Marcus Rashford. Obviously, it's not panned out the way we wanted, but there has been a lot of good moments, and hopefully now we can all move on.
Yes.
And I think in the cold light of day, I think sort of United history will be kind to Marcus Rashford. People sort of look back and realise that there was a lot of good moments from him.
Although in contrast to that, Owen with a super chat.
Go on.
Says, why is Rashford so obsessed with Barca? He won't ever play, but maybe he's so egotistical and delusional about his average ability that he thinks he'll start every week. There you go.
Well,
I think that shows I love
the fact is, why is Marcus so obsessed with Barcelona, who've just signed him, to think that he's going to play for them.
There are plenty of human beings that are obsessed with Barcelona, and almost none of them have ever been paid 150 grand a week to play for them. Fucking hell.
I love this fact that that kind of makes sense if Barca weren't in for him.
Yeah.
I think that makes perfect. Why is he so obsessed with Barca? He's never going to play for him. It doesn't make sense on a video that is breaking news. Here we go, Marcus Rashford to Barcelona.
Yeah.
That's one where I'm like...
What's he on about? He's never going to get a game for him. Well, he just play for him, or will play for them in the next few weeks. Anyway, I think that's a nice place to wrap it up. It shows the polarising nature of Marcus Rashford, I think.
Yeah.
Actually, we've got one more super chat from Coach Zach. To me, Marcus going on loan is a sign that it was a Marcus and Ruben fallout, and if he doesn't work, they can bring Marcus back. Interesting. There's a potential twist.
Can we still continue to talk about Marcus Rashford? Who knows? We'll test the boundaries of that. Joseph, always a pleasure, never a chore.
Thank you.
There's loads, right, of content on this channel right now. You have got Carl Anker. You've got two Carl Anker videos. We've got the reaction from Carl Anker to Brian Mbeumo signing for Manchester, well, not signing for Manchester United, the deal had been agreed from Brentford to Manchester United. We've got a bumper Carl Anker podcast where he looks at the midfield options about pre-season. We've got all that stuff. We've got the brew, me and Steve. We've got Uncensored with me, Joe, and Adam McCullough, where we talk about Marcus Rashford, about Brian Mbeumo, about loads of other stuff as well. Tomorrow, we've got Steve's transfer review. That usually goes out today, but we're pointing out tomorrow because obviously we've had the game against Leeds today as well. So make sure, if you're not doing already, you are subscribing to the channel. And if you can, support us on the members section because extra content on the members section too. Don't forget, we are going to America next week. We're going to be over in the US for the tour. So we're going to be covering loads there. We've got some big stuff lined up, big interviews lined up there. I'm not even going to lie to you. So make sure you subscribe to the channel. We're all very excited. And we do appreciate as well all the support we get on this channel. Joe, never a pleasure. Always a pleasure, never a chore. Sorry, said that wrong. Go and check him out on Sloppy Joe's podcast. It's almost as good as this one. You know where to find me as well. That's been Joe Smith. It is a pleasure. I've been Jay Marty. This has been a bit of breaking news. Marcus Rashford is off to sunny Spain. Thanks for watching.